At 9:30 a.m. in New York, billions of dollars move before most people finish their first sip of coffee. No speeches, no headlines, just one number quietly ticking up or down. When it moves the wrong way, markets panic, currencies wobble, governments start sweating, and almost no one outside finance can explain what that number really means. It's not inflation. It's not GDP. It's not even the stock market. It's the yield. Right now, this number matters more than elections, more than earnings, more than almost any economic promise being made on television. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people talking about it don't fully understand it either. Let's slow this down, because this one number quietly decides how expensive your future becomes. And it's flashing warnings. To understand why, we need to start somewhere deceptively boring: a loan. Imagine you lend your friend 100 rupees. They promise to pay you back next year with 10 extra rupees as thanks. That extra 10 is the reward for waiting, the risk, the inconvenience. That reward, expressed as a percentage, is a yield. Simple. Now scale that up. Instead of your friend, it's a government. Instead of 100 rupees, it's billions of dollars. Instead of a year, it could be 2 years, 10 years, or 30 years. Governments borrow by issuing bonds. You give them money now. They promise to pay you back later with interest. The yield is the return you get for trusting them. Here's where it gets strange. The price of the bond and the yield move in opposite directions. When everyone feels safe, they rush to buy bonds. Prices go up, yields fall. When fear enters the room, people dump bonds. Prices fall, yields spike. That spike is the number markets obsess over, because it's not just about returns, it's about confidence. For decades, government bonds, especially US government bonds, were treated as the safest thing on earth. Boring, predictable, almost dull. But safety has a price, and that price has been changing fast. Now here's the part most explanations skip. There isn't just one yield. There's a yield for every time horizon. Short term, medium term, long term. The most watched one is the 10-year government bond yield. Not because it's magical, but because it sits in the middle of everything. Mortgages, corporate loans, stock valuations, currency flows. That one number quietly sets the gravity of the entire financial system. When it rises, borrowing gets heavier. When it falls, money feels lighter. For years after the global financial crisis, yields were crushed. Central banks pushed them down, injected money, promised safety. Borrowing became cheap, risk felt painless. Companies borrowed, governments borrowed, people borrowed. The world got addicted to low yields. Then inflation arrived. Suddenly, that calm number woke up. Yields started climbing, and markets realized something uncomfortable. Higher yields mean higher costs everywhere. That shiny tech stock, its future profits are now worth less today. That government running massive debt, it now pays more just to stay afloat. That homeowner renewing a mortgage, monthly payments jump. But here's the part that makes professionals nervous. Yields don't just reflect inflation, they reflect trust in the future. When investors demand higher yields, they're saying something quietly brutal. I'm not comfortable lending unless you pay me more. Sometimes it's about inflation, sometimes it's about debt levels, sometimes it's about political instability, and sometimes it's about all of it at once. This is where the math turns uncomfortable. Governments don't pay interest once. They roll over debt. Old bonds mature. New bonds are issued. If yields are low, this is manageable. If yields stay high, the cost compounds. A country can find itself borrowing just to pay interest on past borrowing. Not because it wants to, because it has no choice. Markets know this. That's why yield spikes can feel violent. It's not just a number moving, it's a test of credibility. Now let's talk about the curve, because this is where confusion becomes dangerous. Plot yields from short term to long term. You get a line. Normally that line slopes upward. Longer loans should pay more time, more risk. But sometimes the curve flips. Short-term yields go higher than long-term ones. This is called an inverted yield curve. It sounds technical. It isn't. It means lenders think the near future is riskier than the distant future. Historically, this has preceded recessions, not because it predicts them magically, but because it reflects behavior. Banks borrow short-term and lend long-term. When short-term rates exceed long-term rates, that business breaks. Credit tightens, spending slows, the economy coughs. Markets obsess over this shape because it's collective fear drawn as a line. Here's the irony. Central banks try to control yields. They set short-term rates. They signal intentions. They speak carefully. But long-term yields are decided by markets, by millions of investors voting with money. Sometimes markets listen to central banks. Sometimes they don't. When they don't, things get tense. A rising long-term yield can overpower policy. It can tighten conditions even when officials say everything is fine. That's why headlines suddenly scream about bond auctions, demand, and coverage ratios. It's not drama, it's plumbing. And plumbing matters. Because when the pipes strain, leaks appear everywhere. Stocks wobble, currencies slide, emerging markets suffer first, money flows toward higher. Yields like water downhill. Countries with weak currencies feel the pressure immediately. Debt priced in dollars becomes heavier. This is how a number on a screen becomes a political problem. Now zoom out. Why does this matter right now? Because global debt levels are historically high. Because populations are aging. Because governments promise more than they collect. Because the era of free money is over. Higher yields force choices, spend less, tax more, borrow at pain. None are popular. Markets aren't cruel, they're indifferent. They don't care about narratives, they care about repayment. And the yield is how they express doubt. The hype says yields just reflect inflation expectations. The reality is harsher. They reflect confidence in the entire system. That trust can erode slowly, or it can crack suddenly. And once it cracks, fixing it costs more than anyone admits. So the next time you hear that yields are rising, understand what's really being said. Money is getting more expensive. Time is being repriced, and the future is being discounted harder than before. The question isn't whether this number matters. It's whether we've built an economy that can survive it staying high. Because if this one number refuses to come down, what breaks first?